Good evening to all the members who have logged in for this webinar on the topic of landmark judicial pronouncements under RERA. To address this topic, we have invited Speaker CA Ashwin Shah from Mumbai, and we have CA Rajshekhar Reddy, who is the chief guest for this session. I would also like to welcome the chairman of SIRC, CA Chinnamastan Talakaila, in addition to our speaker and also the chief guest. Good evening to each one of you. Friends, RERA is one of the very important acts, and a lot of our professional members and colleagues are actively participating in advising the clients on real estate activities. And most important act which is affecting the real estate industry is RERA. And I'm sure the speaker, CA Ashwin Shah ji, and the chief guest, CA Rajshekhar Reddy, would definitely give their views about how RERA is impacting the economic growth of the country. Before I request the chief guest to address, I would like to briefly introduce CA Rajshekhar Reddy. Chairman, would you like to address first, or should I introduce him?
Yes, I'll address, then you can introduce, sir. First,
I'll request the chairman of SIRC to give the welcome message.
Yes, thank you, Secretary, sir. Respected chief guest of this session, CA Rajshekhar Reddy, who is a chartered accountant by qualification and who has been recently appointed as a RERA member of Andhra Pradesh State, and Naresh Chandragalli, Secretary of SIRC and Speaker of this today's evening, CA Ashwin Shah from Mumbai, and my dear members joined virtually for this CPE seminar on landmark judicial pronouncement under the RERA. Good evening and warm welcome to all of you. Every time I, as a SIRC chairman, interact with the members through the various forums like this, and I am feeling so energized with the way I am receiving the responses from our members to each and every program. In other words, I can say all the programs are designed and structured with the valuable suggestion of my council colleagues in the regional council and the members across the south, and I can express my sincere thanks to all the members for requesting such a wonderful and variety of the programs. Members, we have also planned to conduct a form of series of CP programs on the matters of professional interest. We have scheduled 5 days program between the 25th and 30th of April 22 on accounting standards for non-corporate entities. Respected members, coming to the today's topic, as you are all aware that the Real Estate Regulation and Development Act 2016 is considered as one of the landmark legislation passed by the Government of India. Its objective to reform the real estate sector in India and encouraging greater transparency and citizen-centric accountability and financial discipline. This is the line with the vast and growing in the economy of India, as in the future many people will be investing in the real estate sector. It has been 6 years since Act was passed by the Government of India. Almost all the state governments started the rules for its effective implementation of the Act. The code, considered as a one-stop solution for redressal of the grievances against any builder. Besides, RERA imposes several I can say the responsibilities on the builders, which includes open that separate escrow account for the project wise, making them to comply with a bunch of complaints. This has given to and rise to another wonderful opportunity for the chartered accountants in terms of issuing of the certificate, advisory, and the consultancy. As the law becomes the complex and the complicated as the days are passed, the rulings and the judgments given by the judiciary also playing an important role in the compliance part. We have here CA Ashwin Shah is a member and who has a rich experience in handling RERA issues to share certain important pronouncements of the judiciary. Besides, we have our friend and a member of our own fraternity, CA Rajshekhar Reddy. We can share the expectation of the executives in terms of compliance and the regulations. I expect you all to enrich yourself with the latest happening in the area of this RERA practice. My best wishes, all the best for each one of you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you for your message. Friends, now I would like to introduce the chief guest for this session, CA Rajshekhar Reddy. As Chairman has rightly mentioned, CA Rajshekhar Reddy has been appointed as a member of AP RERA a few days back. So CA Rajshekhar Reddy has qualified as Chartered Accountancy in the year 2005. He is also an LLB graduate and has been in practice for more than a decade. Experienced in the areas of income tax and indirect tax matters, and just few days back he was appointed as member of AP RERA. Friends, in fact, this is a very brief profile of CA Rajshekhar Reddy. In fact, we just didn't want to give a lengthy one, so this is a very brief one. I would request CA Rajshekhar Reddy to please address the members as a member of AP RERA. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sri Naresh Deliji. First of all, my sincere thanks to ICAI because it only made me to reach this position. My wholehearted thanks to ICAI because I'm not getting, words in what way I can say a big thanks to ICAI. I'm absolutely wholeheartedly I'm here because of my mother profession, ICAI. Thanks to ICAI once again. I'm reached just started with CA qualification, no doubt on that. And first of all, my sincere thanks to Chairman Chinnamastan ji, who is a good friend of mine also, and Naresh Jelly ji, Anna, thank you, and Ashwini ji, thank you, and all other members who joined this webinar. A very good evening to all. Just as the webinar is going to take on landmark judicial pronouncement under RERA, as a part of RERA authority. So I would like to say, as you know, RERA is mainly aimed at protecting the interest of the consumer. So as a responsible person of RERA, we protect the interest of the consumer. At the same time, as a professional chartered accountant, and the interest of the government is also to protect the industry at the same time. So we should balance while protecting the interest of the consumers and protect the interest of the industry, landlords or builders, whomever may be. So these, and I mean, my personal opinion is it should be a win-win situation by complying the rules. And as Mr. Chairman said, like it's a new opportunities for chartered accountants also. So whenever a new act comes relating to any business, so it increasing the opportunities of CS. So I request all the CS to grab these opportunities whenever it comes out and utilize this. These acts which gives our a new employment. I would say, or a new service mode. So for this, thank you very much. With this, I would like to stop because Ashwini ji should take care of. Should go ahead with this webinar. Finally, once again, my humble and sincere thanks to ICAI and SF Chairman Chinnamastan ji and Naresh Jelly ji who invited me. and thanks to other members also who joined this webinar. I wish you all the success of this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Rajshekhar Reddy garu, for accepting our request and addressing members on the importance of RERA and various career opportunities for chartered accountants in the unique recently formed RERA Act. So friends, before I introduce the speaker of the day, C. Ashwin Shah, I would like to briefly introduce him. C. Ashwin Shah is a graduate from Mumbai University. He is qualified his graduation in the year 1986 and is qualified his chartered accountancy in the year 1987. He's been in practice since then and possesses rich and varied experience of more than 3 decades in the areas of advisory, litigation, and specialization in the area of real estate industry. He's been the president of RERA Practitioners Welfare Association. He's also a qualified insolvency professional registered under IBBI, and he's been a regular writer of articles of professional interest in various magazines, to name a few: Chamber of Tax Consultants, Sales Tax Practitioners Association, and News and Views of CVO CA Association. CA Ashwin Shah has delivered more than 100 presentations on the topics of RERA, LLP, capital gains, and other allied subjects at various professional and business forums, and to include a few of them at WRC of ICI, Ahmedabad branch of ICI, Ratnagiri branch of ICI, Varanasi branch, and other professional institutions like Institution of Engineers Goa and MCHI Credai, Raigada, Thane, and Kalyan units of MCHI Credai. This is a very brief profile of C. Ashwin Shah. So may I request C. Ashwin Shah to please take over and make a presentation, sir. Thank you.
Thank you and good evening to all. Honorable member of the Andhra Pradesh RERA, C.A. Rajshekhar Reddy sir, Honorable Chairman of the Southern India Regional Council, other office bearers and committee members of the Southern India Regional Council, my professional brothers and sisters. It's really a great pleasure for me to come to a platform other than our hometown. Now we are in the IPL series is going on. So like Mumbai Indians and Chennai Super King and all these things. So it's really a great pleasure. I once again thanks the office bearers of Southern India Regional Council for giving me this opportunity. Just to share some facts about the how RERA is going at Mumbai. Like in RERA Tribunal Mumbai, we have now 4 members. Previously we had 3 members, so it was we were finding it difficult to organize a bench because now minimum 2 members are required in a bench. So fortunately now we have 4 members, 2 judicial and 2 technical. So 2 benches are running every day, and now there is some hope that quick disposal of the matters are done. But again, when it comes to RERA authority, we have 3 members only, 1 chairperson and 2 other members. But 1 member seat is vacant since last 1 year, and the another member is retiring in this June, July. So again, we have some gap to be filled up. Hope that it will get filled up because Maharashtra is pioneer so far as real estate development is concerned. Almost more than 50 to 60% of the total project registered across the India are from Maharashtra, and then neighboring state Gujarat also. But Maharashtra is a leading pioneer in drafting the regulation also, in rules also, and then many other states have imitated that rules and regulations. Now, as rightly said by the chairman of SIRC, RERA is a 6-year-old baby now. It is not a small baby now. It has now matured enough. In fact, if I talk though RERA came into being from 1st May 2016, but practically all the section of registration, complaint filing, quarterly updates and so on, obligations and so on, that were made notified from 1st May 2017. So effectively, we can say that RERA is about to complete 5 years of its operation on 1st May 2022. So the first question comes to our mind is why there was a need for RERA, and then it is now time to introspect what has been done in this 5 years, whether the desired result has been achieved or something more is to be done. So coming to the question of why there was a need for RERA law, because prior to RERA, across the country, every state has a different legislation. For example, in Maharashtra, we have Maharashtra Ownership Flat Regulation, that is MOFA. Then in Gujarat, it was GOFA. Like in UP also, there were state rules. Like other state also had the various state rule, and there was no uniformity. There was no standardization across the country. It is not that the people of the same state buy the flat in the same state. Even prior to RERA introduction, people of Chennai also used to buy in Mumbai. People of Mumbai also used to buy in Chennai. So if there is a uniformity or standardization, certainly it will be helpful to all the stakeholder of the real estate project. Now, in these 5 years, we have seen many ups and downs. So far as judicial pronouncement is concerned, development is concerned, many people felt that RERA is a very small act, only 92 section. One can easily make a specialization by reading this 92 section. But take my word for granted that within the section, again for each word, we had a judicial pronouncement. Say for example, promoter, now definition of promoter, then definition of allottee. All these definitions were tested right up to High Court and sometime in Supreme Court also. I'll just share my screen now.
See your desktop, sir. The PPT is fit to be loaded.
Yeah, it is started.
No.
Is it visible now?
No, so I'm seeing only the desktop screen only, not a PPT.
Yes,
I have
yes.
opened the PPT.
Maybe
Is
you
it
might
visible?
have passed the screen sharing part, sir. That is the right below the screen sharing. There is an option to pass the window. You might have passed it. Can you
Okay.
start again?
Uh,
Can you again
okay.
reach? Now it's visible, sir. Now it's visible. You can continue.
Yeah, yeah. One minute. I'm not able to.
If you click on the PPT, the video will go to the backstage. No problem.
Okay, yeah. So today's presentation is based on the judicial pronouncement, what has been updated till now. And one should be very careful while reading the newspaper headline, particularly because sometimes these headlines are confusing unless and until we go into the depth of the facts and the grounds of the cases, we cannot come to a certain conclusion. So it would be always be a careful approach when we go and read any judgment. Yeah. Before we proceed to decide on the judicial pronouncement till date, let us understand how the real estate really works. Now, in state like Maharashtra and particularly city like Mumbai, we have major of the project of redevelopment because here already buildings are there. But in other states, it would be a plain land, vacant land, or a joint development. So there could be a scenario of a greenfield purchase of land by the developer. Then he himself is a promoter. Then there could be a scenario where there is one landowner and he wants to explore the benefit of real estate. So he approaches the developer and then there is a joint development. So this is a case where landowner approaches the developer or developer approaches the landowner and they enter into a development agreement for reaping the benefit of the real estate project by virtue of a joint development of the project. That is, and they have the area sharing or revenue sharing. These are all sometimes mixture of both area as well as revenue. Similarly, society in city like Mumbai or Chennai or metro cities, we have already registered society, or we have some building where landowner is there, tenants are there. So these are all building to be demolished and new structure is to be built upon. So here the society as well as the landowner, they are the promoter. Then developer himself. Now developer is a person who possess all the skills of amalgamating all the services like PMC, planning authority, liaising with planning authority, arranging the finance, marketing abilities, convincing the customer relationship, and thereby developer is a person who specializes in the development of the project. Recently, there has been a new concept emerged like development manager. Now, what is the task of this development manager is that they are outsider. They do not have any title in the project. They don't hold development agreement. What they hold is the right to develop the project, right to market the project. They provide their branding like reputed concern, those who are top 10 in the construction industry, they become the development manager. They charge certain revenue to the developer because developer is not able to market the product. So this development manager is also a promoter within the definition of promoter. And then there is one allottee. Now this allottee, the definition of allottee itself is very exhaustive. It includes many people, not only purchaser, but also those person to whom the flat is allotted or assigned. And we have a secured creditor. Now without credit is a backbone of real estate industry, because without credit today, after GST rollout, after demonetization, and particularly now after COVID exposure, the developer find very difficult to launch a product, to initiate the construction as compared to the previous scenario. In previous scenario, the allottee comes to the project at the plinth level itself, even before the plinth level. As soon as you have a Bhumi Pujan, there are booking. But now the scenario is different. In city like Mumbai, I share my experience that if the building is say 20-storied building, the allottee confidence will come only after construction of 50% of this land. So these are the scenarios. So here the role of secured creditor comes, who provide the finance to the developer by creating an encumbrance or mortgage on the property, land property. Yeah. So in RERA, we have 4 layers, particularly so far as the grievances are concerned. And before we go to the grievances, let me just go through the preamble of the RERA Act of 2016. Now, there are main 4 limbs of that preamble. One is regulation and promotion of real estate sector. So it does not only regulate the real estate sector, but it also promote the real estate sector. Why this is required? Because India today also is a home hunger country. Many of our citizens, they are homeless, or they are currently staying in a filthy condition. So basically they want to upgrade, they want to have a better standard of living. So there is a huge demand for the home in India. Every year there is a huge demand. So this is the one limb. So there is regulation and promotion of real estate sector. Second is the sale of apartment in a transparent and efficient manner. So the main object of RERA is to provide efficient and transparent mechanism to the allottee as well as promoter and other stakeholders, so that the real estate project development goes smoothly and the dream of the allottee, that is to get the possession of the flat, is fulfilled. And the third limb is to protect the interest of the consumer. This has been decided time and again by various judicial pronouncements, which we will deal with. And the fourth is to establish a adjudicating mechanism for speedy dispute resolution. Now here, certainly RERA has a very big role to play, because prior to RERA, if someone has to fight a case against a developer, he has to knock the door of civil court or high court, which is not only time consuming but cost also is very high. Whereas in RERA, you can just pay fee of 5,000 rupees, and in conciliation it is only 1,000 rupees, but say it is 5,000 rupees, and you get a result in a time bound manner. Initially, the Act central legislation intended that whenever any dispute come up, it should be settled within 60 days. This was the intention, but because of various factor or initial phase of the RERA and then this COVID factor, everything is disturbed. Even judiciary benches, everything is disturbed. So today there are instances where even after 1.5 years or 2 years, the complaint is not yet disposed of, and so on. So now addressing that why RERA and then what has happened in this last 5 years, whether RERA is successful in bringing the lost confidence of the allottee in the real estate sector, the answer to larger extent is definitely not. As of today, not much has to be done by RERA authority, including Central Advisory Council, central government and state government, to bring back the lost confidence of the allottee. There are instances of even people who have won the case in RERA, they are holding the recovery warrant also, but when it comes to the actual receipt of money, then again there are numerous delay, because that task is being assigned to the collector, and collector are already busy during this COVID period and in other administrative work. So effective administration needs to be done. The RERA authority, including central government and state government, need to sit across and find out what has gone wrong in these 5 years. Why even after 5 years of RERA, if I talk in Maharashtra, we have around 3,000 labs project. Now what are these labs project? These are the project who has completed their revised timeline, what they have opted while registering the ongoing project. These are not the timeline which they have mentioned in their agreement for sale. That timeline was already crossed, but they were given one more chance to define the timeline while registering the project. So many projects have given the timeline of 21 or 22. And now around in Maharashtra, around 3,000 of such projects are labs project. Now the list of labs project is also available on MahaRERA website. So customer can very well look at the list and then take a educated decision about his choice of the promoter. Now, so much has to be done at RERA authority level, state government and central government, to again rethink on what has happened in these last 5 years, where we stand, where we stand before RERA and now where we stand after RERA. Yeah, certainly now there is a threat to the developer, so they cannot do any unilateral unfair trade practices. There is the special authority who can certainly punish them. There are provisions in the Act for penalty up to 10% of the estimated cost of the project. And in Maharashtra, we have some judicial pronouncement where even if for formation of society, if it is not done, once the trigger is over, that is 51% of the booking of the allottee, then the penalty of 30 lakhs was levied. Now that matter is under challenge before the tribunal, but there are tools available before RERA authority to punish the bad promoter. It is not that all the promoters are wrong or they are not doing up to the mark. There are very good promoter also, and here they get a chance to make the branding on the RERA web page, because if they give their possession, their product within a timeline, certainly their next project will get a very good response. So friends, we have 4 layers. One is authority, that is real estate regulatory authority, which consists of minimum of 3 members, 1 chairperson and other 2 members. In this authority, there is no compulsion to have a judicial member, because this is a quasi-judicial authority. then we have a appellate tribunal. So all the complaint under section 31 of the act will go to the authority, and then authority will dispose of the complaint. There are various rules are framed by different state how the complaint has to be handled, who has the jurisdiction, and so on. So once the complaint is order is disposed of, and then if anybody is aggrieved out of that order, then they can certainly go to the appellate tribunal. So appellate tribunal task, it's a judicial authority, whereas there are two-member bench. So at least one member should be a judicial member. So here the question of law can be dealt with. They can be better understood and interpreted. And I would rightly say that the appellate tribunal Maharashtra has given a very, very good judgment. The one judgment, Pankaj Gandhi, which defined the role of authority and educating officer, was a shock and surprise to all of us, we practicing people at RERA. But then Supreme Court has confirmed that judgment of the appellate tribunal Maharashtra. We will deal with that. Then there is a High Court. So only question of law can go to the High Court, and then Supreme Court is there. So now the burden on the court has reduced. What used to go to civil court has reduced, but it is not that you cannot go to civil court or you cannot go to consumer forum. There are judgment in spite of RERA being a special legislation, one can definitely go to the consumer forum also for specific relief. Yeah. Now, during these 5 years, many issues arose and many of them have been settled. So now first we will deal with what are the settled issues. Now, whether RERA is a retroactive or retrospective, because when RERA was introduced on 1st May 2017, there was a lot of UN cry among the developer community, particularly for ongoing project, because these are the projects which never thought a new legislation is likely to come, and we'll have to abide by the rules and regulation of this new legislation. They were under the old legislation. So now this transformation of the ongoing project into RERA, so that across the country, many writ petitions were filed by the developer with the Supreme Court. Almost many writ petitions are there. Then what Supreme Court did is they assigned this task to the Honorable High Court Mumbai, and we have one landmark judgment that is I will term it as a Bible of the RERA. One needs to read the 330 pages of this judgment, which has 288 paras. It was a two-member bench, Justice Ketkar and Justice Naresh Patil, and there was amicus curiae also in this proceeding, who helped the court, who are the guiding factor in the court. So this was the Neel Kamal Realtor versus Union of India writ petition 2737 of 2017. So here many issues were raised. The fundamental issue was the constitutional validity of RERA on the ongoing project, whether RERA applies to ongoing project or not, or whether it should apply to all those projects who has received the plan, who has received the approval of the plan after 1st May 2017. So these are the fundamental issues raised before Honorable Mumbai High Court, and there was a lot of deliberation on this, and it was held that RERA is a retroactive. It is not a retrospective. Now there is a difference between retroactive and retrospective. Now what is retroactive? We can say that a true retroactive means a new law on a completed transaction. So if a new law is imposed on a transaction which is already completed, then it is true retroactive. And what is quasi retroactive is new law is imposed on a transaction which is in process before it is being completed. So here we have RERA as a quasi retroactive, and the Honorable Mumbai High Court held that RERA is not retrospective, but it is quasi retroactive, and or even it applies to the ongoing project also. See what has happened is, if I recollect, UP RERA has came out with their own set of rules for defining the ongoing project, because nowhere under the central legislation ongoing project is defined. If I go to the dictionary meaning of ongoing project, it says ongoing project means project which is going on. So there was no clear-cut definition provided under central legislation, but UP RERA has tried to define their ongoing project by introducing some rule wherein they have said that if 60 or 70% work is over, and some conditional things they have provided, if the basic structure is created and all these things are done, then it is not an ongoing project. But then that rules were modified because these rules were ultra virus, and the ongoing project means now section 3 is very clear. Ongoing project means those project which has not received completion certificate as of 1st May 2017. So this was the criteria. The project which has not received the completion certificate will be termed as an ongoing project, and they are liable to be registered within 90 days. So from 1st May till 31st July, all these projects were liable for registration. There were penalty imposed for delay in registration also. Now, the another important component of the Mumbai High Court judgment was Section 18. Now, interest. Now, there are two options available under Section 18. One is interest for delayed possession. That is, you want to remain in the project, but you want to claim the interest for delayed possession. And second is you want to exit from the project. Now, this exit from the project was available under almost all the state law. Like in MOFA also, there was a clause for exit option available, but the interest for delay was never available. So prior to RERA, only one relief was available, that is exit from the project. You take your money with 9% interest, that was provided under MOFA in Maharashtra. But now we have two options, that is interest for delay as well as exit, and claim of compensation also for any hardship or whatever. If you feel that interest is not sufficient to take care of your losses, then subject to your proving that losses, even you can claim the compensation also. So even in terms of Section 18 also, Honorable Mumbai High Court held that yes, interest is a compensatory in nature. And why there is a worry? Because the cause of action, that is delay in possession, is continued even after RERA. So it is retroactive, and the relief is certainly available, and the constitutional validity was upheld by Mumbai High Court. Then one interesting observation was made by Mumbai High Court was that once the project is registered, complaint can be filed. Now again, this aspect needs more clarity, because we have many promoter who have not registered their project, though they were liable to get registration. So if you have a approval plan in hand as of before 1st May 2017, then your project is ongoing project and you need to have registered the project. But many developers have not registered the project on 1st May 17, just because they were sure that they will complete the project within next 6 months or next 1 year. Then why to register and so on. So again, there was a dilemma whether a complaint can be filed against unregistered project. So then Mumbai High Court has said that RERA need to provide a separate window for unregistered project, and accordingly at MahaRERA we have a separate window wherein we can give the information about the unregistered project. If we want opportunity of hearing, then I have to pay 5,000 rupees. Otherwise, I need not pay any money. I'll just, as a outsider also, I can provide the information for unregistered project. Once I file the complaint for unregistered project, then the first hearing would be done whether this project is liable for registration or not. If it is yes, then the direction will be issued to get it registered within a time bound manner, and then the complaint can be entertained. But complaint on unregistered project as such cannot be entertained. So this is what has been provided in Mumbai High Court judgment. Then the developer raised the issue that under RERA, once we are given a chance to define a timeline, say for example, on 1st May 2017, a developer has defined a timeline of say 31st December 21. Now then what next? Suppose the project cannot be completed because of some valid reason, then only 1 year extension is available under section 6. So this 1 year is again subject to proving the force majeure. It cannot be granted. 1 minute. It cannot be granted as it is. So there also section 6 is very clear. Subject to force majeure, authority can give extension of 1 year under section 6. So many developers raise this issue whether this 1 year is sufficient and what will happen if we are not able to complete the development within 1 year. There could be a force majeure like now COVID was there, or many such force majeure where forest land is involved. There were then airport authority issues are there, and there are some practical issues also. So there also Mumbai High Court has observed that look at section 7 subsection 3. Now what section 7 subsection 3 says that okay, once the revised timeline or extended timeline is over, then that project becomes a lapse project. And once the project is lapse project, then section 8 is very clear. The lapse project, for lapse project, RERA authority will have to design a plan in consultation with the state government how to complete this project. So this is what section 8 says. So all the lapse project, like what I have mentioned, 3000 projects are lapse project as of today. But as of today, MHRERA has still not thought on taking advice of the state government on this 3000 project, how to complete this, because now it is in charge of the MHRERA. Once the project is lapsed, then nothing can be done. So this was the concern of the developer. Then here also High Court observed that section 7.3 is there, wherein RERA authority can impose certain condition and grant a further extension instead of revoking the license or the project registration. So this was a welcome legislation. Here at practical level in Maharashtra, what MHRERA has done is that they have put a condition. If the association of allotee, that is if 51% of the sold unit are agreeable for further extension, we don't have any issue. So they have designed a circular and a format wherein we have to obtain the consent of 51% and it can be extended for another 5 years, because if 51% of the people feels let us give chance to the developer, we don't want to go for revocation or appointment of a new developer or taking over of the project by association of allotee, then in that scenario they give the consent. And here under section 7.3, a developer will be eligible to another extension of 3 years, 5 years, as the case may be. So again, this concern of the developer was also solved. Then there was one more concern raised in this judgment, that is section 8. As I said, once the project is lapsed or it is revoked under section 7. Now there are certain criteria under section 7 where if builder has done any violation, has done some unfair trade practices, has not only done violation of RERA but has violated the other law. Say for example, they have violated municipality rules, regulations for unauthorized construction and so on, indulge in unfair trade practices, then authority can either suo moto or on receipt of complaint can revoke the project registration. So there can be two categories, one is lapse project and one is revoked project, and both will be then in charge of the authority under section 8. So here the concern of the developer was that okay, what will happen to our contribution? We have also invested a huge of sum of money in the project, because whatever is the cost incurred, it does not happen every time that allotee funds are higher than the cost incurred or equal to the cost incurred. There could be a scenario where promoter has genuinely invested money. Say for example, if 100 crore is the cost incurred, 40 crore is received from the allotee, then 60 crore is the contribution of promoter, maybe either way of a debt or a equity, whatever may be. But that is the contribution. So here the concern of the developer was that what will happen to our 60 crore and loss of opportunity. Then the Bombay High Court held that your interest will be protected, because whenever there is a change of hand, the incoming developer will have to design a formula whereby there is an amicable settlement between outgoing developer and an incoming developer to the extent of cost incurred by that particular developer. And there was one more question was raised before the Bombay High Court, that whether authority, 3-member bench, whether they require a judicial person or not. Then it was held that no, it's a quasi-judicial function. They do not require a judicial mindset. Yes, for the purpose of adjudging compensation, there are separate sections, section 71 and 72. The authority will have to appoint the adjudicating officer who is a retired judge. So there a judicial mind is required, because adjudging compensation is more complicated than deciding a complaint, whether there is delay or not. Now we will come to one more judgment, Newtake, where this issue has been dealt with. Then authority is required not only to discharge administrative function, but also this speedy dispute resolution function. So far as tribunal is concerned, yes, initially Mumbai tribunal was a assigned tribunal. One tribunal was single member bench, which was assigned the task of appellate tribunal till the time the formal tribunal was formed. So there we had only one member, but then it was held that because section 43 very clearly says that a bench of a tribunal should consist of 2 members and one of them should be at least a judicial member. So this is also being clarified by Bombay High Court. Then the developer also raised one issue. Now there are penalty provisions under RERA up to 10% of the project cost. Even there are imprisonment up to 3 years and so on. So the Bombay High Court has held that even the penalty provisions are applicable provided there is a cause of action which is continued, provided there is a violation of the rules, RERA rules and regulation after enactment of RERA. Say for example, if the society is not formed, even after acceptance of 51% of booking, then it is certainly a fault after RERA enactment and not the fault prior to RERA. So as soon as you trigger 51%, you are required to form a society. As soon as you want to collect more than 10% of the allotee fund of the consideration amount, you are bound to execute and register the agreement for sale. So these are all the RERA provision, and the penalty provisions are prospective in nature, and it would apply to all the default of the promoter or allotee or the agent, because these penalty provisions are not only on promoter but before everyone. So whenever there are default, if the allotee also do not pay on time, they are also liable for penalty. If the agent also do some mischief, they are also liable for the penalty. But these are all the act which he has done after the enactment of RERA. Now one important thing is where a developer is not able to complete the project. Say for example, the project was launched in 2006 and on 2017 the promoter gave the timeline of say 2021, but still today the project is only 40% complete. Now he is not able to complete the project. So what is the remedy available to developer? Because the claim for interest for delay is mounting up, because in my agreement for sale the possession date mentioned was 2012, say for example. So 2012 is important while looking at section 18 and not the timeline, that is 2021, which is provided by the promoter, because this timeline are unilateral timeline. No consent was obtained of the allotee. So then the question was that whether developer can will be liable to all this interest for delayed possession, and he feels that today he is not able to complete the project. There is no hope. I'll share one live example what many of the promoter in Mumbai are facing. The DHFL had sanctioned loan to many projects. Prior to it went before insolvency proceeding, and after certain disbursement, uh, the further disbursement were stopped, and all the promoter relying upon the DHFL assurance were to complete the project. If that thing has happened, all the disbursement have happened, project could have been completed. But then DHFL itself went into liquidation and insolvency, and now Piramal has taken over the DHFL under IBC code. So because of this issue, many project, because now they are not able to create a mortgage by some other financial institution also, and many litigations are pending before NCLT, NCLAT and High Court on this issue, and there are difficulties for genuine promoter how they will complete. So at the same time, they are now facing the interest for delay, which is mounting up. So here the Bombay High Court have observed in one of the para that developer can claim a frustration of agreement if he feels that he will not be able to complete the project within a reasonable time frame. So here, instead of paying interest for delay, the developer can offer refund of money with applicable interest. That option developer can claim, because what has happened, suppose the booking was done in say 2009 or 10, the rate in particular area of the Mumbai was say hardly 12,000, and now today the rate is say 26,000, and the interest for delay component is again 6,000 rupees per square feet. Then the developer feels, why I should pay 6,000 and lost the all these things. So in such scenario, if the project development is halted and it cannot be completed within a reasonable time frame, then he can frustrate the claim. Again, this issue have now started mounting up. Many developers have started sending termination notice, taking the benefit of this observation of the Honorable Mumbai High Court, that they are able to frustrate the agreement, they are ready to pay the money with due interest, and they will stop the project right now. They will realign the project at later stage. So these are the main decision which were taken in the Nilkamal Realtor by Honorable Mumbai High Court, which was assigned by the Supreme Court. So this is a very good judgment. One should go through this judgment again and again. If you read this judgment, you will find many such things. Yeah. Then now coming to this whether era retroactive that we have covered, single member bench of the authority and the jurisdiction of AO and the authority. So this issue had been taken up time and again by many advocates. Okay, the authority means 3 members, and then what will happen, whether bench should consist of a single member or they should sit together and decide the issue. So far as tribunal is concerned, section 43 is very clear, there should be a 2-member bench, right? But so far as authority concerned, there are no such specific definition whether a bench should consist of single member or a joint member or a 3-member bench. So this issue has been on fire for many times. People have filed first appeal before appellate tribunal, then they went into High Court, Supreme Court also, and recently on November 2021, we have a landmark judgment of a Supreme Court in Newtech Land Promoter versus State of UP and others. This was a civil appeal, and this was a 3-member bench judgment. There were 5 issues raised before Supreme Court in Newtech. Prior to that, Punjab and Haryana High Court have already dealt with this issue. Okay, yes, single member bench is a valid bench, and it can be formed, but that judgment was challenged before Supreme Court that was Janta Land Promoter versus State of Punjab and Haryana. But prior to that judgment, now we have a New Tech Land Promoter versus State of UP and other, which has now settled almost many issues. Now, one of the issue was single bench member. Then it was upheld that yes, RERA authority can delegate its powers to its member. So, single bench member can hear the complaint because there is no specific provision, unlike a tribunal where we have section 43 which says that bench should consist of 2 members. So, here it is the prerogative of RERA authority to decide whether a single bench member can function or not, so far as complaint, redressal of complaint is there. Then the one critical and burning issue was the jurisdiction of adjudicating officer versus authority. Now many of the relief, if I name some of the relief which are commonly prayed by the complainant, is one is this non-execution of agreement for sale, second is non-formation of society, and third is false information under section 12 while taking the booking. So the promoter has not disclosed all the thing, and based on false information he has made a contract. So under section 12 false information, the allottee can quit the project and claim the principal with interest and compensation. Then comes under section 18, that is claim of interest on delayed possession. So here there is no question of compensation, but so when it goes to quitting from the project, then he can claim interest for delay, interest on the amount paid till date plus compensation. Now this compensation is always subject to, he has to prove what loss he has suffered, and this compensation is to be adjudged by the adjudicating officer under section 71 and 72. Now we have one section, that is section 31. It says that an aggrieved person can file a complaint under section 31. Now this complaint may consist of all these components. There could be a multiple relief, or there could be a single relief. There could be a relief of interest as well as compensation. So now the question is whether, because if I read section 71 and 72, the section 71 starts, I will just read section 71 starting point. Power to adjudicate. For the purpose of adjudicating compensation under section 12, 14, 18 and 19. Now these are the 4 sections where you can claim the compensation. Under section 12 for false information, under section 14 for change in the plan of the building without taking the consent of the 2/3 of the allottee, or change in the plan of the apartment where allottee has booked the apartment. Under section 18 where he want to quit the project, and under section 19 that is for various information which promoter has to give to the allottee. So under this 4 section he can claim the compensation. So when there are relief claimed not only for interest but also for compensation in a single complaint, then what will happen? Whether it should go to authority or AO. Now these were the burning issue. So far as UP RERA is concerned, there were 2 forms were announced, form number M and form number N. Now form number M is for claim of refund of money with interest, that's all, and form number N is for claim of compensation. So all other relief except compensation can be catered by form number M. If I come to MHA-RERA, then it is form number A and B. Now in MHA-RERA we have rule 6 and rule 7. Rule 6 is dealing the complaint by the authority, whereas rule 7 talks about the adjudicating compensation by the adjudicating officer. So what used to happen is, initially there were multiple reliefs were asked, which includes, suppose a complaint is filed for quitting the project and a compensation of say 5 lakh rupees is claimed for mental harassment, mental agony and like that. So here this is a composite complaint which consists of multiple relief. So the whether complaint should be decided by authority or whether it should be segregated at that stage. So till now what was being done was, before this new take, authority used to take this complaint and then they pass an interim order and they transfer this complaint to adjudicating officer because it consists of compensation. So they say, since the adjudicating officer is of judicial mindset, let this be decided by the adjudicating officer. So this was the practice followed across India in many states also. But new take has changed the life altogether. Now new take is very clear. Supreme Court held that jurisdiction of AO is only confined to section 71 and 72 only. That is adjudicating compensation only, nothing else. So first of all, whether there is a violation or not, means the principal issue, whether there is a delay in possession or not, whether the developer has violated the terms of agreement or not, which triggers section 80, that itself should be decided by authority first, and then only for the purpose of adjudicating compensation, it can be transferred to AO. So now principal and interest part will be decided by authority, and then once they decide yes there is a violation, then they will transfer the matter to the compensation matter to the adjudicating officer. So here the issue was raised that what will happen if both the bench decides things otherwise, like authority decides yes there is a violation and he is eligible to quit the project and he is entitled for refund of principal with interest, and the adjudicating authority comes to a conclusion that no, there is no violation, because under section 71 there are some inquiry proceedings are also there, but then Supreme Court has clarified that this inquiry proceedings are confined to adjudicating compensation only, because section 72 defines 4 criteria how to adjudge the compensation: actual loss suffered, or then, because Supreme Court has held that the task of adjudicating officer is more difficult than task of the authority, because to decide a compensation is more difficult because it's a subjective matter than to decide whether there is a violation or not. Because for a violation, what authority has to see? Simpliciter, they have to look at the agreement for sale or allotment letter. What was the time promised to the allottee? Suppose it is 31st December 2019. Now that time has gone, so there is a delay. Whether there is any force majeure which developer claims, whether developer is successful in proving that yes there was a force majeure. In majority of the cases, developer failed to prove that force majeure, barring some few exceptions. Then the authority task is very simple. Just they have to look at the date of possession, whether there is any force majeure or not, and give the order simply. Whereas the role of AO is much difficult because compensation is subjective matter. One can claim, I am staying in a particular locality where the rental is so much, whereas the counterparty can say no, the rental is not so much, it is so much only in luxurious building, in normal building it is less. So again there are complications involved in adjudicating the compensation. So this matter also has been settled now very clearly by Supreme Court, saying that if there is a composite complaint, then segregate that complaint at an appropriate stage. First the complaint will go to the authority will decide the violation. If there is a violation, authority will give their order for refund of principal with interest, and for the purpose of adjudicating compensation they will transfer the matter to the AO, and AO role is confined only and only to adjudicate the compensation. Now this ruling came in November 2021, but as I said, Appellate Tribunal Maharashtra in Pankaj Agrawal, they have given this decision in August 2021 itself. And this decision, when it came at Maharashtra, we all were taken to surprise because we could not believe that AO, being a judicial person, is only confined to compensation part only and not to the main relief, that is providing interest. And because n number of orders have been passed, and now the situation is this: the order passed by AO, where he has directed refund of money with interest and compensation, have become null and void because of this Supreme Court judgment. That order itself is nullity and cannot be executed and is not capable of producing any legal result. There are n number of Supreme Court judgment on null and void order, because that order is not an order in the eye of law. Now, one more issue was raised before the Supreme Court, or even in the case of Punjab and Haryana, that is whether this pre-deposit under Section 43(5). Now, what is this Section 43(5)? So, at appellate tribunal level, appeal can be filed by aggrieved person. Aggrieved person can be allottee, he can be developer also, he can be agent also, he can be financial institution also, any person. There it is not my. Whereas in Section 31, it says that this any person can file against whom? Against developer, allottee and agent. Whereas at appellate level, it says any person against any person. So here, when the appeal is filed by the promoter, there is a condition under Section 43(5), which says that if the appeal relates to the penalty, then 30% of penalty has to be deposited. Or if it relates to claim of refund with interest or compensation, or only interest for delayed possession. If it is a financial claim, if it is the execution of agreement, no pre-deposit. But if it is a financial claim, then under Section 43(5), promoter is required to deposit 100%. Now, prior to Allahabad High Court judgment, Allahabad High Court judgment in Redicon Infra versus Karan Dayani, the Maharera Tribunal used to have a leverage of 30 to 60%, because prior to that, now this phrase 30% of penalty or principal amount with interest or compensation, that was read together with 30%. So initially 30% was the benchmark, but then it can be 30% or more. So tribunal slowly and gradually increased that percentage to 60 or 70%. But once this Allahabad High Court judgment came, I think in 2020, then the appellate tribunal Maharera were very clear, and they used to give 100% direction for pre-deposit. So the developer felt that this is a very harsh condition to seek the justice. If I have to deposit 100%, which is again in a cash crunch economy, would be a very difficult task. So a developer agitated this before the Supreme Court, saying that this is a discriminatory provision, because no such provision is there for allottee. Say for example, if allottee has failed to pay the money to the promoter, then promoter can file a complaint under Section 31 and get a favorable order. And then when allottee goes in appeal, so there also the financial claim is there, but allottee is not required to pre-deposit. So then they said this is a discrimination, and under constitution this discrimination should not be allowed. But then Supreme Court held that no, this is a welfare legislation and these conditions are well thought of, and this applies only to developer. And now the scenario is that 100% pre-deposit is required under Section 43(5), and constitutional validity of this section has been upheld, because appeal is not a birthright, it is a given right. So condition can be imposed. In many of the other statute also, we have the, like in income tax, we have 20%, or subject to merit, we can go to High Court and seek 100% waiver. But in RERA now it is very clear, you have to deposit 100% of money. And because of this, now we have seen that many amicable settlements are happening. So once the appeal is filed, and when it reaches the stage of pre-deposit, then developers start negotiating with the allottee, and allottee also realize that now it is time to settle the matter instead of having a hard decision of full interest. Let us settle the matter, and some settlements are happening. So this has helped the withdrawal of appeal at appellate stage. So this was, and then one more issue was there, that is recovery certificate under section 40 subsection 1. So once the favorable order is passed in favor of the allottee or the promoter, then authority can issue a recovery warrant under section 40 subsection 1. But unfortunately, if we read those sections, it talks about only interest or compensation. It does not talk about principal. So does it mean that principal, suppose there is a order for refund of principal with interest and compensation. So does it mean that only recovery warrant to be issued for interest or compensation and not for principal? So this issue was also agitated before Mumbai High Court in Marvel Sigma, where also Mumbai High Court has also held that no, this section cannot be interpreted in such a manner that under section 40 subsection 1 even principal is also, because compensation includes everything. That's what is held by Mumbai High Court in Marvel Sigma, and accordingly the authority has right to issue the recovery certificate including principal also, and same is upheld by Supreme Court in Newtek also. So this was all about the Newtek land and land promoter. So these are the two, this is 93-page judgment with 143 paras. I would advise those who want to really practice in RERA should go through these two judgments very often while dealing with the matter. Now, so far as allotment letter is concerned, whether initially when in 2017-18 there were issues when we don't have a registered agreement, whether relief under section 18 can be claimed or not, that is interest for delay or quit of the project. But then now there are many judgment ke allotment letter is nothing but an agreement, because if we look at Indian Contract Act, agreement is between two persons talking about something. If the allotment letter says all the ingredients, it consists of all the ingredients, say for example date of possession, amount of consideration, manner of payment, interest factor and so on. If it contains everything, then it is an agreement between two persons, and whether it is registered or not, but relief can be claimed under section 18. This has been upheld in many of the RERA authority as well as appellate tribunal and high court judgment also. Now, so these are all settled issue, but now there are many unsettled issues. Now, what are these issues? First, I will take up registration of the project based on land area or number of apartments. So if I read section 3, one exemption is given where the area of land is less than 500 square meter or the number of apartment to be developed is less than 8. So these two conditions are there, but the word used is or, and the exemption is in negative manner. So if I satisfy any of the condition, then I am out of the registration ambit of the RERA. So this issue came up before the tribunal in Gitanjali Aman Construction versus Rishikesh Paranjpe. So where two-member bench held that, and initially there were two-member bench, one judicial and one technical. So in that case, what happened? The area of land was less than 400 square meter, and number of apartment developed was more than 8. So then developer said, look, I have satisfied one of the conditions. So now I am falling within that exemption and I am not liable for registration. So here both the member of the tribunal, they have the different view. The judicial member was of the view, okay, no, this has to be read as and further he stated that land area pertains to project of the plotting of land, whereas number of apartment condition pertains to the project of vertical development. Again, this argument cannot sustain, because 500 square meter land area is very too low for any plotting scheme, because plotting scheme involves huge land area. But again, the judicial member, honorable judicial member, who retired from appellate tribunal, was of the view that the project is liable for registration because these conditions are qua vertical development, and in vertical development he has more than 8 apartments, hence project is liable. Whereas the technical member was of the view that no, project is not liable for registration because of the wording, and it comes in a negative list as a exemption, so that is not liable for registration. So there was a tie, and then the full bench was set, and the another judicial member, that is learned chairperson, she was also of the view yes, project is not required to be registered. So the tribunal judgment as of today is that in such kind of scenario, project registration is not required. But the matter is now before Honorable Mumbai High Court. It is admitted, but now yet to be decided on merit. So these are the, so many times developer come to us stating that we have only 400 square meter, what to do? Then these are the scenario, whether you want to go for it, it is your choice. You may rely upon the appellate tribunal judgment, which is the law of land as of today, so far as Maharashtra is concerned. However, matter is before Mumbai High Court. Now coming to one more this thing. Now tenant member relief under RERA. Now tenant are those tenant where there is an old building, there is a landowner, there are some tenant under, in Mumbai we have a Pagdi system, that is protected tenancy. So this tenant and their consent is required for redevelopment. That is one of the condition which competent authority, that is planning authority, puts upon. Their consent is required for redevelopment. Some percentage are there. Similarly, for society redevelopment also 51% consent is required. So the argument was like this: that this tenant and member, whether they are allottee or not, and whether they can claim relief under RERA or not, because they get the area free of cost. So there is no consideration, right? Secondly, they themselves have given the consent for project development, so they are equity holder. They are not the purchaser or like that. So again, this issue is on fire even today also, because there are many contradictory judgment and matter is not yet settled, because we have to see some judgment from High Court in this regard, whether tenant or the member of the society can fall within the definition of allottee. If I read the definition of allottee, it is very clear. It has to fall. Allottee in relation to real estate project means a person to whom plot, apartment or building has been allotted, sold or otherwise transferred by promoter. So there are three categories: sold, allotted or transferred. So here it is a case of allotted. Tenants new flats are allotted, member also new flats are allotted, though they have not paid the money. But is it not that the surrender of tenancy right or surrender of old structure itself is a consideration for the new purchase? Now, so far as Consumer Forum Act is concerned, there this kind of transactions are protected. They say that that it itself is a consideration. So in Consumer Forum, we need a consideration, whether you have paid a consideration or not. So in Consumer Forum, there are many judgments where such kind of scenario are also protected. But under RERA right now, it is a burning issue whether this kind of tenant or member becomes allottee or not. Now society, whether it's a promoter or not, again a burning issue, because society is the owner of the land and building. So far as Maharashtra is concerned, we have here the situation like this. Society, the conveyance is done in favor of society, registered society. So the owner of land and building is society. The individual member are holding a share certificate. And by virtue of share certificate, they have right to enjoy the occupation of a particular flat. They can transfer this share to somebody else for certain consideration, but they are not the owner of the land and building, right? So who is the owner of land and building? Society. So society is the landowner. Now, what benefit society is getting out of redevelopment? Sometime corpus fund, sometime some area is also given, some offices are given. So there could be a scenario where they are generating some revenue or area. So whether society is a promoter or not is a big burning issue. Prior to RERA, we have a landmark judgment by Mumbai High Court in Vaidai Akas, wherein Mumbai High Court has held that society is not a promoter. In that case, what has happened is there was one developer to whom the society has given the development rights. Later on, because of default of developer, project could not progress, and there were many third-party rights created by that particular developer. And then society terminated the development agreement, and the new buyers approached the society. Then society said, you don't have any privity of contract with us. Your obligation or rights are with the old developer. You go to old developer under your civil right. So all this buyer went to Mumbai High Court and then in Vaidai Akas, this question was dealt in detail, and it was held that society is not a promoter, society is not liable to answer this new purchaser. This new purchaser have their all the rights with the old developer and not the new developer. Now this is the scenario prior to RERA. Now after RERA, now there is one specific section 15 which talks about the assignment of the majority rights in the project. Now whether this termination of development agreement amounts to assignment of right to some other developer, because ultimate aim of the termination is to hand over the task to someone else or do it on your own. So you are retaking your right. So again, this section 15 is there in RERA, but again there is no clear-cut answer as of today whether society is a promoter or not. But recently at MahaRERA authority, the orders are passed. A society cannot terminate development agreement without prior consent of all the allottee, 67%, and the MahaRERA, and society should be registered as a promoter. See what happens in Mumbai or Maharashtra. The property card is in the name of the society. So commencement certificate or approval comes in the name of society. So as soon as we upload that commencement certificate, then query is raised while registering a project that all those names which are reflected in commencement certificate, that should be made promoter. So today the scenario in Maharashtra is that society is made promoter, then and then only registration is granted. I am not sure about the other state, what is happening, if someone can share their views on this. Now, after RERA, even IBC was there along with RERA on 2016. Now, there could be a situation where a company or a corporate entity has multiple projects, other businesses also. There could be a default in other business or other projects, not in a particular project. But once the IBC proceedings are on, then RERA proceeding stops. This is one view, because once the moratorium is there under section 14 of IBC, then all other proceedings get halted. Now recently there are some judgment wherein it is said that so long as RERA judgment are consistent with IBC code, then there is no issue. If there is an inconsistency, then that cannot be done. Secondly, whether reverse CIRP, that is corporate insurance, corporate insolvency, can be done or not. That is, if a project can be bailed out or not. If all the allottee agrees whether a project can be bailed out of IBC proceeding, again a big question mark and yet to be decided. There are practical example where there are 5-6 projects, and in one project one secured creditor has initiated IBC. So rest 4 or 5 projects are nowhere mortgage. But once the IBC start, then all the assets and liability of that company comes in a single basket, and then that project gets impacted. So again, on this front also, we are looking at some judgment where the project can be bailed out or not. Certainly in the interest of public, this can be done, and this has been done in one of the Supreme Court judgment of Bikram Chatterjee versus Amrapali Group of Companies. That judgment is also worth reading. There also the rights of financial creditor was sidelined by the Supreme Court, stating that the financial creditor have failed to do banking business. They have not done the due diligence of end use of money. So they cannot claim their right now. First, let the project get completed, and then if anything remains, financial creditor can take away. So this was the judgment in Bikram Chatterjee in Supreme Court. Then allotee interest versus secured creditor. As I said that whether a allotee can file a complaint against a financial institution under section 31 or not. Section 31 says any aggrieved person can file a complaint against allotee, promoter and agent. Whether it can be filed against secured creditor or not. But now recently Rajasthan High Court in Union Bank of India versus Rajasthan Authority held that yes, they can certainly be taken as a respondent because it affects the project. The similar view was taken by Supreme Court in MR Shah versus BV Nagarathana. Yes, the aggrieved person can file a case complaint against secured creditor, though the proceedings are initiated under section 13 of the SARFAESI Act. Right. Similarly, RERA and arbitration. Now there are conflicting views whether RERA is a special law, IBC is a special law, SARFAESI is a special law, which will prevail. The subject matter of each act is unique. So this uniqueness has to be seen and accordingly decided. But when it comes to arbitration, then it's a difficult task because prior to RERA, all the agreement which are executed has one common clause of arbitration. Okay, in case of dispute, matter will be referred to arbitration. So at that point of time, RERA was not there. RERA came into picture on 1st May 17. Now there is a cause of action. So now the complaint is filed before authority, and in Maharashtra one case has happened where authority in such kind of situations state that the MOFA agreement was registered prior to RERA and there is an arbitration clause. So in that judgment, it was Ayaz Khan versus IRA Realtors. It was held that arbitration will prevail over the RERA. Now again, this judgment is challenged in tribunal and that matter is pending before the tribunal. But if this happens, then many of the agreement contains the arbitration clause. And again, it would be difficult for allotee to seek the justice. Now coming to industrial premises development. Now, when the RERA bill was introduced in 2013, the initial draft contained what could be the apartment. It could be residential, commercial, or ancillary, and industrial also. But when the act came, this word industrial was deleted. And then the matter came up before the tribunal whether this industrial development, because these are also premises cooperative society, whether this will fall under RERA registration or because these projects are liable for RERA registration or not. So in one of the case, Renaissance Infra, Appellate Tribunal Maharashtra, while deciding pre-deposit issue, again merits are pending, while deciding pre-deposit issue, they waived the condition because they felt that there could be a good case that this industrial premises development will not fit in RERA, so it is beyond the RERA jurisdiction. So on that ground, pre-deposit was waived off, but yet finality is yet to be seen. Unregistered project, I have already dealt with this subject. Now coming to the professional opportunity, because it would be unfair on my part if I do not bring the professional opportunity to my professional colleagues. Nowadays, after automation, we all are feeling that we used to file return of income 5-10 years before. Now we are just doing a fill in the blank, or even in tax audit report or statutory audit report or CARO report, we have to fill up some blanks only, and then the qualitative aspect or value addition aspect is missing, and many chartered accountants are feeling that yes, there is certainly a downtrend. Again, recently that Institute of Accounting concept is also emerging. Parliament has passed that law. So there would be a parallel competitor who will take away much of work. So then as a chartered accountant, because we are very good analyzer, we are very good interpreter also of the law, we are a very good reader also. When it comes to argument, yes, we may have faced some difficulty, but this argument is again art. It can be cultivated, and one can certainly develop it. So we have to look at other act also, like RERA is there, IBC is there. Under NCLT and NCLAT, particularly now this concept of NCLAT, where even a chartered accountant can go in Delhi and appear before NCLAT. There is no bar on that. At RERA Appellate Tribunal also a chartered accountant can, or a cost accountant, company secretary, all those can appear. It is not now no more the monopoly of the advocates. So here also we have a very good chance. So in RERA particularly, I will deal with some of the issues. RERA support services. We can provide a very good services to the promoter right from the inception of project. Not only right from inception, I would say transaction structuring. Even there also we can be very much helpful looking at the implication of direct and indirect tax and other commercial aspect. We can advise the our promoter. RERA support service in terms of quarterly updates, RERA project registration, and so on. Changes like extension is there, change in the data is there, or change of hand is there. Application under section 15. Now MAHARERA has come out with some circular wherein the new promoter will have to give a justification how he will complete the project. So there also feasibility study we can be helpful. We can be helpful in documentation support, that is right from booking form till completion of the project. Of course, certification and audit is our core area, but I would give some caution alert to all my members that we should be very careful while deciding or while certifying the form 3 or form 5, which is certificate for withdrawal and annual audit report. I will just give one example, a food for thought for all of you. Suppose in a real estate project, the cost incurred is 200 crore. The allotee fund is 100 crore. And the debt obtained by the promoter is again 100 CR. So 200 is financed in such a way, 100 from allotee, 100 from debt, and 200 is the cost incurred. Now, can we say that there is a diversion of fund? Yes, I keep the forum open if somebody wants to answer it. Can we say that there is a diversion of fund? Because my cost incurred consists of two components. One is from allotee fund, second is from debt. Now this debt is created on the mortgage, on the project land, which is encumbered now. So again the allotee are the sufferer if this encumbered is not removed. So effectively I can say that only 100 crore is cost incurred, and this 100 crore is received from allotee. So one has to look at the data in this manner whether there is a diversion or not. Now this issue we have raised before MAHARERA, but as usual we could not get a good answer to that. They simply said that this is to be looked upon by chartered accountant. So in a longer scenario, whenever there are stall project or whenever such litigation comes, then the very first person to be caught is who has certified form number 3 and form number 5, that is certificate for withdrawal and certificate for annual audit report. So again we would be in a scanner. In Gujarat state, many forensic audit have already been ordered. Even some disciplinary actions were recommended to institute against the member for some fault in certification. So we should be very careful. The another scenario is many promoter take the money from the real buyer, but in the form of unsecured loan. Now, if you observe the trend line, on every completion of plain first slab, second slab, money flows, the similar what other allottees are paying. So again, there also we should be very, very careful. We need to be very diligent and alert while going through all such kind of transaction. And of course, in litigation support, we are the best people. We can support a good advocate who is arguing. Himself, we can also argue. We can develop that skill, and we can go up to NCLAT or RERA Appellate Tribunal and so on. So we have a very good scope so far as RERA or other commercial laws are concerned, and we have to have some diverse view now if we really want to contribute towards the value addition and shift from the compliance practice. Yes. So with this, I complete end my submission.
Sure, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
If
sir.
any
And
questions
I
are
will,
there,
yeah, yes, sir. I will compile it and display it. So 1 minute. You have 2 questions. I'll just share my screen. I'm just sharing my Excel sheet, sir. Is it visible?
yeah, a very good question. The first question itself, home loans are provided by bank with charge on future apartment in case promoter fail to execute sale agreement. Now, first of all, as a banker, they are supposed to do a banking business. This is what is the RBI guidelines. So in Maharashtra also, there are cases where under subvention scheme. Now, what is this subvention scheme? Pay 5% now, 95% on possession. So there also, there are many cases where unregistered agreements are there. But now, under RERA, under section 13, it's an obligation on the promoter to execute agreement once he gets 10% of the money. He cannot collect more than 10%. So this provision is now known to the financial institution also. So in one of the case, we have taken this stand. Okay, banks are aware of this provision, and after being aware of this provision, they cannot restrict my right to exit from the project under section 12 or 18 because they themselves have made a fault that they have lended the money on an unregistered agreement, first of all. So this can be a very good point in litigation. Okay, they have failed to perform their banking business, and as I stated in Bikram Chatterjee, Supreme Court has held that the financial institution, those who fail to do banking business, they cannot take the advantage of their misdeed. So again, this is a really burning issue, but banks generally they give loan only after the agreement is registered, except subvention scheme. Rules are made by different states, sometimes in contravention of condition Limine Act. What is that done by SCS to make such rule if defective or apply? Yeah. Now there is a classic example of West Bengal. Forget about rules. They have introduced altogether a different act, HIRA, that is West Bengal Housing and Industry Real Estate Act. What they have done is they have categorized real estate as an industry, and under the state power upon the industry, they have notified this HIRA, which was now struck down by the Supreme Court, and now all the promoters were directed to register under RERA. But in 2017, there was total confusion in West Bengal whether to go in RERA or HIRA, because state government wanted all the promoter to get registered under HIRA. So here the issue is, if the rules are beyond act, then certainly these rules cannot go beyond the act. And there is one entity called Central Advisory Council. The task of that Central Advisory Council is to study all this thing and help the central government in making the amendment. But very sorry to state that except this COVID extension, I could not see any progress at Central Advisory Council. So they have dealt with COVID extension, but so far as rules are concerned, they cannot go beyond that, and challenges are being done in appellate tribunal as well as High Court, and it has been decided that rules cannot go beyond the Act. Case law, yes, yes. I will provide my sheet to the office bearer. Yes. Can developer retain ownership of clubhouse in RERA to the exclusion of purchase? Does the no? Now the common area is a part and parcel of the project area. Developer cannot retain any kind of ownership, any kind of advertisement right on the tower. He is supposed to give the conveyance once the project is completed. One can certainly go to MahaRERA either individually or through association for claiming the conveyance of the entire property. So it cannot be done.
Yes, those were the questions that came up till now. We'll see if there is any. If not, so we'll wind up the session. 1 minute.
Yes. Anything mentioned in RERA for maintenance of project? See, there is under RERA, under central legislation, only thing is mentioned is that promoter is required to give the possession and convey the property in favor of association of authority, form the society. So these are the three components. First of all, possession of the individual apartment. Second is formation and registration of the association of authority, and third is the conveyance. This is provided by the central legislation. But in practical scenario, particularly in layout condition, where say for example there are 25 buildings and there is one common land, then naturally developer cannot complete all these 25 building at one go. They will register first 5 buildings, so they will hand over the individual apartment. So far as the common amenities and the common maintenance and the society maintenance is there, developer collect from the allottee, but they are required to give the account of this maintenance charges to the allottee. That is what has to be provided by state government in their respective rule, and that is what is provided in Maharashtra rule and almost in all other rules also. But these are all provided under rules regarding the collection of the maintenance charges and handover of the account after conveyance. What is definition of completion? Many times developer is continuing the project for years, and at what stage common area or facility can be handed over to community? Yeah, very good question. See, ideally we can divide amenities in 4 parts in case of layout. Now this situation comes in layout. If there is a single building, there are no issues, but if it is a layout condition, then we can have flat amenities first, then building amenities, then phase amenities. Because if there are say 25 buildings coming, but today only first phase consists of 5 buildings are registered, then we have phase amenities, and then we have a project that is entire layout amenities. So if the developer defines all these amenities with the timeline, then there is no issue. But if we fail to define, then the question comes, it cannot be indefinite. There are Supreme Court judgment on this. Okay, there has to be a reasonableness for any completion. It cannot be taken for LOT cannot be taken on a ride for an indefinite period. And there are some favorable judgment of Supreme Court wherein it is held that 3 to 5 years is a reasonable timeline depending upon the vertical development. It may happen that building is 60 storied, 40 storied, again elevation and all these things. So reasonableness can be achieved through the help of architect and engineer. What should be the reasonable period to complete this project, and accordingly relief can be claimed. Because there is one interesting complaint came up before MahaRERA, wherein a flat was there and there were 4 big parking attached to that flat. So the developer said, okay, I'm ready to give you the flat today with OC, that is completion certificate or occupancy. But as far as this parking is concerned, there is lot work to be done. So developer was claiming that I have fulfilled my obligation as per agreement for sale. So no interest or delay is payable. Now when the matter came up before the RERA, they said no. The flat was purchased not as a standalone flat, but with the right to enjoy this parking, right to enjoy amenities like clubhouse, swimming pool, and all these things. I have paid extra price. A project which consists of swimming pool and clubhouse, naturally the price is higher than a standalone building. So there also, these are the settled view that project completion should be in all respect. So I am entitled to relief. I can certainly, though you have handed over me the apartment, I can claim the loss of use of swimming pool or clubhouse. I can claim what I have to pay to the outsider, other gymkhana and club. That relief I can certainly claim.
Yes, sir. Those were the questions that came up for the day, it seems. So, thank you so much for excellent session on the landmark judicial pronouncement under RERA, sir. SCRC would like to thank you on behalf
If
of our
any,
chairman and secretary in their absence, sir. Tell me, sir. Sorry.
no, if somebody has any specific view on,
Yeah, I have
in
asked
so
the
far as
questions and also.
South is concerned, judiciary, South is concerned, they can certainly share.
Sure, sir. If there is any query and if we receive, we will be receiving it in mail and also as a feedback. And if there is any, we'll forward it to your mail, sir. Kindly respond in time permits. And I have checked with the participants also, and as of now, no query, no question came up. So I've unmuted them also. They can unmute and ask if there is any. The audience who have joined in a mobile or something. No, that's it. So this material can be shared with the members, right? Is there anything you will be sharing with us, sir, for circulation among members?
Yeah, I will share some of the judgment what I have cited.
Okay. Sure, sir. You can share it to mail, and we'll share along with the recordings of the session to the registered participants account, sir. And also we'll be putting it in our website. So there is last
One
question.
question, what is the meaning of community or commercial facility in the definition of common area? So all common area includes everything, that is lift, staircase, security guard cabin, clubhouse, swimming pool, all that area comes under open parking. Again, it comes under common area. Covered parking which are assigned to a particular flat, that is not the part of the common area. So that is included, all community and commercial facilities. So developer cannot retain ownership over that. It has to be handed over to the association of allotee along with the conveyance. The possession has to be handed over.
I think, Selva, is there any other question, Selva?
Hope not, Ms. Monica. So we'll wind up the session, sir, if there is no more questions. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you so much for your excellent session, sir.
Yes, sir.
Look forward
Thank
to
you
our
so
session.
much for your time, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. We can end the session, sir.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you for your time, sir.